Hello and welcome everybody to this fireside chat. Um, while we wait for Vignesh to join us, I thought I'll get started and at least talk a little bit about MEMPC. If you have not heard about us, Master of Engineering Management Programs Consortium is a group of Master of Engineering Management programs at 9 of the leading US universities who are working together to raise awareness about the MEM degree with prospective students and employers. My name is Rutu Manchiganti, and I'm your host for this conversation. The fireside chat today is our way of highlighting the strength and versatility of the MEM degree by showcasing the diversity and the career paths taken by our alumni. Just a little bit of our logistics. We will have a Q&A session towards the end of this conversation. So please send us any questions you have for our speaker today using the Q&A box Q&A box below. Our speaker today is Vignesh Ramaswamy, PV and Energy Storage Techno-Economic Analyst at NREL, which is a National Renewable Energy Lab, and a Northwestern MEM alum. Thank you for joining us today and a big welcome to our fireside chat. So let's get started with the introductions. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Vignesh, and what brought you to MEM.
Thanks, Rutu. So, hello everyone on the call. So, my name is Vignesh Ramaswamy, and I'm currently a senior techno-economic analyst at the National Renewable Energy Labs here in Golden, Colorado. Over the past 10 plus years, I have built a career focused on renewable energy analytics, entrepreneurship, and also business development, um, with a particular emphasis on, PV and energy storage technologies. So I completed my Masters of Engineering Management at Northwestern University, where I gained solid foundation in coursework like finance, managerial analytics, and strategic decision making, all of which have played a critical role in my current career. Throughout my professional journey, here in the United States, I have worked with various organizations from startups to established energy organizations like Vision Energy Systems, NextEra Energy, and now NREL, where I have managed complex projects, developed advanced cost models, and also supported decision making of some of the biggest renewable energy investments in this space. My work primarily focuses on conducting financial feasibility study, and it also includes building bottom-up cost models for solar or PV and energy storage technologies. Here at NREL, I also leverage NREL's in-house modeling tools like, a system advisor model and Reopt, which are free to download for anyone from outside NREL. Those are the tools that helps to optimize energy system sizing and also the energy dispatch from these systems and help understand the financial feasibility and also recommend policies to the Department of Energy. So to all the folks who are on call, I'm excited to share my experience with you and also learn about your aspirations and any questions you may have. And on the next question, what brought me to MEM? Um, well, it started off with startup I was running along with my friends for a couple of years after my bachelor's degree back in 2012. Um, a few friends and I were like really passionate about, technology and innovation. So we took the leap and started a couple of our own ventures during that time period. We were driven, really hungry to make a mark, and we had this vision to, solve real world problems with cutting edge solutions. So for a couple of years, we poured our heart and soul into the startups that we co-founded, and it was all sleepless nights, endless brainstorming sessions, and you could imagine that we were wearing every hat within a company. For example, from coding to customer outreach. So while I was always confident in my technical expertise, or finding a really good solution for a problem that exists, um, it kind of also made me realize, it's not just about having the best product. It is also about having how you're going about managing the project or managing your own company. So we faced a lot of challenges on that aspect, which we never anticipated because we were all engineering graduates, and we were facing challenges in terms of managing finances, making strategical decisions under pressure, and also leading a team or working as a team through times of uncertainty. So the excitement was real, but also were the growing pains when we were all working together during the startup phase. So at some point, it kind of hit me. Um, I had this technical skills, or coming up with really good technical solutions, but I was really missing the tools that I need to steer these startups from a business perspective. So I find that time myself craving for a deeper understanding of different aspects of running a business, like operations, finance, and strategy. So that's when I made the pivotal decision to pursue a master's in engineering management degree, which I thought could help make me a better contributor uh, for a team, or when you work for a startup or your own startup. So I thought this would help me to bridge the gap between my technical know-how and the managerial skills needed to scale a business or a startup, or even drive a team towards success. So I ended up applying for MEM programs at different universities that are listed under MEMPC. I think I ended up applying for NU, Duke, Dartmouth, USC, and MIT, but my eyes were really set on NU and MIT at that time because my goals were different. I ended up getting admits from NU and Duke, and at that time, it was NU that I preferred, where because I was preferring to be surrounded by a classroom of people with diverse background with a minimal years of experience.
That's awesome. And how was your experience at Northwestern?
It I would say it was electric. It was not just about a Northwestern university, but also the location where the university is at. So from the moment I joined, I really enjoyed the location where the university was, and the also the classroom atmosphere was phenomenal. And I should say, I was surrounded by all these engineers, business leaders, and innovators with lots and lots of experience from around the world, all bringing their unique perspectives and thinking for any topic of discussion. So the classroom just felt like a melting pot of ideas, and every conversation, whether in the hallways or over a coffee at the student center, was just glowing with a lot of potential and energy. So there was something really special about the way we challenged each other, constantly pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible with our colleagues at, in our classroom. So one of the most exciting aspects of the program, again, was the fusion of the technology and the management. As you all know, that's why you're here, and the curriculum was designed to help us not just as an engineer, but also as the future leaders of the industry. So courses like Nuvention, which are the coursework that help you um, uh, start your own idea, and then see through all different phases of the startups. And Northwestern has this Nuvention coursework, which I really liked, and I ended up enrolling for three different types of Nuvention courseworks because I was an entrepreneur and I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And even the other courseworks like the managerial analytics and finance for engineers were really eye opening for me. And suddenly I was not just thinking about how to come up with a solution for a problem, but also evaluate whether it is financially feasible to come up with that kind of a solution, assess its market potential, and make decisions that would actually help maximize the impact. So, and outside the classroom, Northwestern again offered an incredible support network that I could leverage. The professors were industry experts, always approachable and eager to share their knowledge with us. And I'll never forget the countless discussions that I had with them, exploring, different trends in different industry, and also, the leadership experience they shared with us were invaluable. Most of the or some of the professors were visiting faculties from the industry who were like real leaders in the industry at that point in time. So those are like phenomenal experience. But perhaps the most rewarding part of my MEM experience was the friendship that I built with my fellow MEMers at that time. The group projects, the late night study sessions, and the non-ending brainstorming marathons created bonds that went far beyond academics. So we were all on this shared journey of growth, and the sense of community was really infectious because we all were experienced, and it was really helpful for us to bond with each other. And graduating from Northwestern's MEM program was more than just a milestone for me. It felt like a launching pad for my next phase of my career. In hindsight, it was one of the best decisions I've made personally, an MEM degree. And again, at Northwestern was a personal preference due to my personal goals. It wasn't just an education, it was a life-changing experience for me that continued to shape my professional journey in ways I could not have imagined. Looking back, I really see it as the place where I truly learned to merge technology and along with strategy, where I also grew as a person and built the foundation for everything I'm doing today.
Wow, that sounds like an amazing experience. And that kind of also echoes my experience going through the MEM program at MIT and having those lifelong bonds because you've gone through something like that together. But also the part about never ending conversations. Like anytime we learn a new tool, I know that we used to apply that tool to every random problem we saw just to see whether it works or not. And so, yeah, I can totally understand that. So, your career post MEM has been in renewable energy. Was that always your focus to move into energy, or was that something that happened during your MEM um,
No, yeah.
degree?
I have another story for that because when I wanted to come and do my master's here at Northwestern, my interest towards starting my own company or joining a startup at least never went away. So I was asking myself this question: what is the kind of company that I would see myself working here in the United States? Um, you know, um, and we had really an energy crisis that was going in my hometown back in India. We used to lose power for like 8 or more straight hours in our little town. So that time I used to, being an entrepreneur, I used to search for different solutions that are around. And that's when I kind of learned about how PV and energy storage could make a microgrid for yourself. Um, so those kind of, research papers kind of really kindle my interest towards this renewable energy sector. That not only, helps you have a backup power that is greener and sustainable, but also, it was starting to get way cheaper at that point in time. So, that's how I ended up choosing my or aligning my career towards renewable energy.
So you mentioned that you joined, enrolled for at least three new engine courses. Were they all related to energy, and how did they shape your career post MEM?
So at that point in time, we had nuvention coursework in different industry, like one for energy, I think one for health, and one for food or sustainability, something like that. So I enrolled in these courseworks called Nuvention Energy, and then the other coursework was like technical entrepreneurship. it was not just another invention course, but it was something very similar to it, but had a different kind of curriculum for that. But yeah, so technical entrepreneurship, invention in energy, and I think invention in health is what I took out of interest.
So post MEM, what was your stepping stone, moving from an entrepreneur? Did you move to another startup? Was it a large organization? Talk to us about it.
Oh yeah, so like I said, my interest towards startups never went away, and I always saw myself working in a startup or being part of a startup since the time I joined MEM. So I did end up landing a job with a startup that was also in the energy space. So the startup is unfortunately not there anymore. But that kind of also taught me a different lesson. But um, being an international student working for a startup is a bit risky here because you never know when the companies would fade away with the investment they have. But to answer your question, I landed my first job here in the United States with a startup in the energy space.
That's awesome. I believe the startup was Vision Energy.
Yes, correct. It was Vision Energy Systems. They were making it's called flow batteries. It's like a, a different energy storage system compared to the lithium ion batteries. They are really huge in size, but they are more sustainable compared to the lithium ion batteries. But it was not technologically ready at that point in time.
Yeah. And what was your role at Vision Energy? I mean, startups, you wear multiple hats, but did you have a specific area of focus there?
Yeah, so at Vision Energy Systems, my primary role was to, conduct financial feasibility study for these different
Hmm.
PV plus storage project opportunities the company gets. So it was like a very good experience for me because I could translate all my learning experience from Northwestern on different coursework projects that I did into a real-time project. So we used to assess how feasible, going after a PV plus energy storage project is at Vision Energy Systems. And again, being at a startup, that's not just the one responsibility I used to have. I also used to be um, you know, the modeler for different technologies that can be paired with energy storage systems. So we used to operate different kind of modeling tools. To name a few, it's called Homer and DIRCam. I mean, they are energy modeling tools that we used to operate. So it was all connecting the dots, uh, uh, assessing the potential of different technical solutions and whether those different technical solutions are financially feasible at the end using a spreadsheet cash flow model. And not only that, again, we have to evaluate all these projects should be installed in different parts of the country. If any of the incentives or uh, tax credits are
Tech
available
credits.
in the particular state, then we have to evaluate the impact of that on the project too. So yeah, it was a wholesome experience, kind of translating all the learnings from the courseworks that we did at MEM to this workspace at Vision Energy Systems.
Yeah, it sounds like an ideal role, right? It's at the intersection of technology because you need to understand the technology, and then business because then you have to understand the financial side of
Yeah,
it and all the
definitely.
impacts.
And they were looking for someone who could you know, do wear both these hats and help them with these kind of analysis and also suggestions. They honestly, the guy who hired me at the company came to me and said, "I never knew that a coursework like this existed." So. I still remember after I got hired, I think one more person from a different MEM program also got picked. But unfortunately, the company went under after a couple of years.
Yeah. And now, when did you move from Vision to Nextera? Was that a planned transition? Was it unplanned?
No, that was unplanned because I never knew the hiring freeze was going to come because they all put the employees on a furlough notice. They did not fire us, but since they all put us on a furlough notice, now I had to go out and find a job for myself. So it gave me some time, but then I always had this vision of working for a bigger renewable energy company at that time, and I always considered Nextera Energy to be like the Google of clean energy. And fortunately, I landed an interview with them through my connections I made at Vision Energy Systems, and I landed a job at Nextera Energy, and was there with Nextera Energy for like 2 more years there.
Yeah. Was the role similar to Vision Energy of doing modeling
Yeah.
and financial evaluations?
Actually, it was more than that. So, on top of similar responsibilities that I had at Vision Energy Systems, they were also building their own software to kind of do this financial feasibility study of PV plus battery systems. So I used to test those softwares and make sure they are working the way they are intended to. So that was like one of my another very good experience. So our team got awarded a James Broad Head Award, which is like a prestigious award at the Next Gen Energy Resources. So on top of the day-to-day techno-economic analysis, we are also being a software validation kind of a role, and we had to make sure that tool works perfectly because our clients were going to use the tool to do more like a preliminary financial feasibility with ease. It's like more like creating an app that would make your life easier. So instead of doing an in-depth financial feasibility analysis, just to get a rough idea, out of all the 100 projects, how many projects we should look at first, we built that tool that was helping us filter down some of the top projects that we should look at first.
Wow, that is an unusual combination, right? But
Yep.
it sounds like it was a great learning experience for you.
Yeah.
and and a growing experience as well. And I guess from there you moved to NREL, which is where you are right now.
Yep.
And that was one of the fascinating aspects for you when I looked at your profile, was having somebody who's an international student work at a national labs, because usually national labs don't sponsor. So how was your experience, looking at a job at NREL and then getting in?
Yeah, so again, the responsibilities were getting monotonous at Nextera Energy, and I wanted to look beyond what I was doing. So then I had this opportunity to interact with one of my friends who worked at NREL at that point in time, but he moved to Nextera Energy and used to talk really good things about NREL. And I was like, why shouldn't I try? But then, there are always only postgraduates and PhD students who work at
Right.
NREL. That kind of made me take a step back and think, if my application will even get screened. But fortunately, I had an informational interview with one of the team members, who's my manager now. So, and he really liked my experience and the different kind of dynamics that I bring to the table. Not only understanding the technical side of how a PV and energy storage system would operate, but also how the economics of this system would pencil out. So he really liked that because, again, to kind of get that kind of to kind of get that level of experience, either you have to be a manager, you have to work with the company, work with the financial engineers, and grow that skill as an experience. and that would take like 10-15 years for anyone. But he was like really impressed that we're like out of a master's degree and have an experience something that they never thought existed. So um, that's how I ended up being at NREL. But again, at NREL, again, I wanted to do something different. So my job responsibilities were more of interacting with the industry, top level industry stakeholders, like the Department of Energy officials, and sometimes with the congressmen. So what I do at NREL is like help evaluate, whether the PV and energy system cost are in the right direction. So whether the Department of Energy has to pump any more R&D money into the PV and energy storage sectors, or bring up any incentives or tax credit schemes so that the projects would be more financially feasible. So that is the kind of analysis that I do, and my team does. And we kind of recommend the energy department officials with the analysis that we do, and they kind of take a step further and involve us in a meeting with the congressmen to kind of come up with these policies. And one significant thing that I worked on was the Inflation Reduction Act, um, that the current administration has put out for the PV, and not only for the PV and energy storage systems, but anything related to PV and energy storage systems in the Inflation Reduction Act. We have touched upon it. Our team has worked on it, and I have worked on it. So, I never thought, I would get to work on something like that before joining Enrel.
Yeah. So sorry, I just want to clarify PV is photovoltaic cells, right? So those are the solar panels that we talked about. So this is
Yes,
a
correct. Yeah.
combination of
So,
solar panels and batteries that actually form a proper grid to,
yes, correct. Yeah, PV
generate and
stands
store
for the
power.
photovoltaics, and it's basically the
The
solar
panels.
systems or the solar panel.
Yeah, that's perfect. And that's pretty awesome. So I guess you started off at an intersection of technology and finance and business, and now you're doing technology, finance, business, and policy. And then I'm assuming some form of data analytics, because I don't think the kind of analysis you do is possible without data analysis. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. So to make sure whether a system is financially feasible, it has to go through several levels of auditing or screening with the data. By data, I mean the energy production data from the solar plant or the energy
Mhm.
storage plant, right? So we
Mhm.
used to get how these systems produce energy or generate energy over the next 30 years of this planned project.
Right.
And if they are producing it, the way it's supposed to, based on the locational data, there could be some, for example, a shading loss. There might be a lot of trees, so the solar panels may not be performing as it's supposed to. So those kind of data will show in the actual energy production data. So we have to account for all those and help the other um, construction team members understand, okay, there are some trees that are going to produce some shading loss. So you have to kind of, cut the trees or put the panels in the non-shading areas. So this is the kind of analysis that we do with data too. So, and this kind of analysis I used to do at Nextera Energy Resources, but not at NREL, because now that my role is a bit on a bit involving higher stakeholders who are not really looking to understand those kind of data. Now my role is more catered towards analyzing the policies, the financial feasibility of those policies, and how the financial feasibility of those systems. We have a separate team that can do the technological data analysis. But the good thing is, I can do that analysis as well if I have to.
Yeah. So how do you like your current role interacting with the policymakers?
It is tough, and again, that is one of the key takeaway or experience that I uh, really appreciate from doing the Masters of Engineering Management degree, because you always used to work with a group of people who has different experience in different industries, who bring their own insights. So there is always used to be this conflict and disagreement between folks. So we always used to, but for the project to get signed off, you need to get an up get an agreement from all the working members of the project. So those kind of experiences really help me kind of manage this kind of an policy engaged role, because without that I would have really struggled, how I would have managed the different officials at working at Department of Energy.
Yes, so consensus building with the stakeholders, right? It ends up being really, really important. And I'm assuming, you said that was one of the skills you learned at Northwest. And what were some of the other important skills and qualities that you learned through MEM that are helping you succeed in your role and have helped you succeed and get here?
Sure, yeah. Um, I mean, the different tactics that I followed, helped me successfully navigate the coursework and also land this job, right? So I would highly rate carefully planning the coursework that I wanted to do, because early on I really made a conscious decision to align my coursework with my passion for renewable energy. I didn't just want to complete a degree. I wanted to equip myself with knowledge and skills, that would help me to choose a career in the renewable energy sector. So I specifically, for instance, chose courses like managerial analytics, risk analysis, operational excellence, mostly analytics focused, along with core management skills, which MEM at NU offers. Not only because they are like fundamental to engineering management, but also the analytical skills were in demand that time, and I knew that it's going to be in demand in the energy industry as well. These courses have really helped me build a solid foundation, in terms of financial modeling, risk modeling, and strategic planning, all of which are really crucial, particularly in the clean energy industry, where we really look into the project financing and long-term planning. So it wasn't just about the coursework again themselves. It was also about the projects that I chose along with the courseworks. So I actively sought out the coursework projects that involve these different renewable energy companies, to give myself a real world context and hands-on experience, that would help me to transition into this sector. Um, and what made the program even more impactful was the chance to work on an in-house MEM internship project with my fellow MEMers at the time. So this wasn't just any project, it was a unique internship opportunity that not only provided us financial support, but also gave us, like an invaluable real-time industry experience. We directly worked with the industry experts in the solar and energy storage space, and it was one of the most rewarding projects, I worked on, uh, which helped me to conduct the techno-economic analysis moving forward into vision and next era energy, all that. And again, I touched upon the collaborative environment that really helped me. And but again, finally, I really made sure to leverage every resource available to me. The MEM program at Northwestern, wasn't just about classes and projects. It was also about networking, building relationships, and learning from people who already had succeeded in the field I was briefly aiming for. So the program's strong industry ties gave us access to guest speakers, company visits and conferences that broadened my perspective and introduced me to key players in the renewable energy world. And again, these experiences combined with the rigorous academic coursework that we are doing, were really crucial in shaping my career forward. So, to sum up, I could say the strategic choices I made and the hands-on experience, um, and the network I built along the way were like really helpful.
Yeah, and I can imagine that some sort of presentation and communication skills played a good part as well, especially in your current role of trying to interact with the policymakers and giving them recommendations on how to draft policy, right?
Yes, obviously. So the communication skill is, something we just pick up through the coursework and, interacting with all the locals. And uh, again, every day we have to communicate our project progress to the faculties and within the team members, again, uh, from diverse background. So that has really helped. And also, creating presentations and catering them to the audience that we are presenting. Um, it's not just about putting slides together, but have to really understand who are the people that we are talking to, and putting a slide accordingly was really key.
Yeah, I can imagine that the slide you would present on all the data analysis to a fellow team member is not something you would present to a congressman or a policymaker, right?
That's definitely true. Yep.
Yeah. So we could go on and on for another half hour, but if you have any questions for Vignesh, please send them to us using the Q&A box below. I look forward to seeing them and then um, answering any questions you may have. Um, so while we wait for questions, Vignesh, any advice for current and prospective MEM students? What would you recommend they do to make the most of their experience, or how do they choose their MEM program?
Sure. Maybe I'll start off with current students, who might
Yeah.
be looking for a role in the industry. Um, you know, um, just do a lot of informational interviews that really helped me land a job, because I wasn't just a sitting duck waiting for the online application to land me an interview. I was really putting a lot of effort into writing personal messages and emails to the contacts that I got. And, again, you have to be very relevant and talk to them in a language that not only helps you, but it's going to help them. If there is an open role in a company where you think your skill set can be put to the best use, um, just reach out to someone in the company and navigate your way to that right person and tell them, hey, I can really do this job, meaning you have to justify yourself. And that's where this elevator pitch and speaking confidently about what you could do comes in. So I think on top of the informational interviews, folks have to really be prepared with their elevator pitch. Within a minute or two, you should be able to sell yourself. That helps open door for further conversations. So be prepared and keep doing it. And uh, you know that's definitely gonna help you network with some purpose, and you know ultimately, um, uh, hopefully help you land a job. And also, staying current with the industry trends. Like, while I was aiming for a job in renewable energy industry, I was thinking which technology I should go after. PV and energy storage was really trending, and that was the talk of the town. And also, it was a proven technology at that point. It was not just any technology that is not readily available or not ready to be used, but it was proven and it was put on field and it was drastically growing. So stay current with the industry trends and use all the resources available to you at your university, like professors, contacts who are already working in the companies, or alumni who are already working in the companies. And I'm happy to like do informational interview with any of you on the call if you're planning to get into the renewable energy sector.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, I love really like your idea about what you said in terms of strategically planning your coursework, and not just the
Yeah.
coursework, but your projects, right?
Yeah.
To make sure they take you where you want to go. and
Yes,
help you learn
correct.
what you need to learn.
Yeah, and that would be my advice for the future students. So come up with a plan, be strategic about it, and um, you will nail it.
I'm sorry. Your conversation is so interesting that my cat wants to park on part of it, so you might see his tail pop up on the screen. Oh, so
Okay. Hi. Hopefully
it's
that's
too
the
bad he's yeah, like right. See, too bad he's not a prospective MEM student. Come on, bud. Uh, all right. In terms of your current role, right? What are the things that you really love about it, and then what are some of the most challenging aspects?
um so I really enjoy the fact that, I'm really contributing towards the industry and making a real impact within the PV and energy industry with the policy suggestions that we are coming up with. And, those policies are going to make real time impact in terms of installing a lot of PV and green energy technologies on field. The challenges are, always different, particularly when you work for um, a national lab, because you tend to work for different teams and making recommendations to different stakeholders within the Department of Energy. So you never know what is the current administration looking for, and the expectations would change, keep cha- would keep changing periodically. So we have to kind of, be more flexible to cater towards their needs rather than our own agenda. So that is a bit more challenging because you would have come up with a brilliant solution, but then for some altogether a different administration related reason, they would not be interested in hearing it or implementing it at that point.
Yeah.
So it was more about catering to the needs of the current administration. So that is what something I look as a challenge, because sometimes you have a better solution in your hand rather than what's getting implemented.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I agree about the impact of your role because the tax credits for the PV installations are kind of the motivation why we got solar panels installed in
Yeah,
our house as a way for it. And without it, we wouldn't be able to do it. And so that is absolutely impacted millions of lives for sure, like all your recommendations. So thank you for that. Absolutely appreciate it. All right.
I should take a step back and say, no, I didn't come up with the tax credit policies, but I just
For sure. But the
helped
input that went
recommend.
into it, yes, the
Yeah,
input,
correct.
I feel like it's a combination of things, right? The input that went into it that incentivized the
Yeah,
production of solar
totally.
panels, that then
Totally.
incentivized the adoption of solar panels, which
Yeah.
finally ended up in my
Right.
hands,
Yeah.
right? So,
We just came up with a value, that
yeah.
is not gonna bankrupt the installers or residential folks who are installing it, and also not gonna impact negatively the companies that are installing the solar panels.
Right, exactly. And that's a fine balance. And I think
Yeah.
uh, yeah, some of the latest credits were the tipping point for us because we've been looking at P for a while and you're like, I don't know if it justifies, the cost just yet. And then we finally the costs hit a point and the incentives hit a point. You're like, yep, this is it. Let's just do it. Um, and living in Florida, I mean, you would think it's a no-brainer, but apparently not. As you said, there's a lot of hurdles and hoops that you have to pass through, whether it be from, the local rules and regulations or the politics or whatever ends up happening.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, so I absolutely understand the challenges as well. So one last question while I still wait to see if you have any questions from the audience. But so what's your next step look like? Do you ever take a step back and think, what do I want to do next?
Um, I really not thought about it, now that I'm really enjoying the current role at NREL. So I'm just waiting for it to get monotonous. Um, you know, I would really like to get my own startup started, but only time can answer that. So um, apart from that, my I'm kind of really comfortable with my current role and the work that I do. And it's again, like I said, NREL is a place where we get multifaceted challenges. from getting involved in different projects. It's not just about working in the PV and energy storage cost modeling work or policy recommendations. We also look into the policy recommendation for community solar projects, and I also work for the pumped hydro storage technology cost modeling. And at some point, we were looking into the cost modeling of solar power beaming from the space. So
Oh,
there is like lots and lots of things that is going on in a national lab like NREL. So I would say no, currently not really bothered by being bored or any other noise outside. But
I think that's a great place to be in. That
yeah,
is, yeah, and I can imagine that. And it sounds like NREL is a great place to work at as well, to
yeah,
keep you challenged and give you access to almost the cutting edge of whatever is happening for the most
exactly.
part. I had not heard about solar power beaming from space. That sounds pretty fascinating.
Yeah, I mean it's not going to be economically feasible from the first.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and
um,
nothing to do with spaces. So I think
yeah,
that is a given, but the possibilities then are
yeah,
endless.
that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. All right. Vignesh, in case our students who weren't able to make it live, they watched the recording and have any questions, are you okay with them connecting with you on LinkedIn with
Yeah, absolutely.
questions?
Yeah, I encourage whoever is you know interested in learning more about MEM or my experience and looking for any recommendations or help. Feel free to connect with me in LinkedIn, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Sounds good. Oh, a question just came through. It says, would like to know how Vignesh navigated the job switches in a way that he didn't really have a gap between jobs. It's tricky in this market and wanted to understand when you started to think about this switch and the timelines on how do you manage the interview and the switch, the moving process into the next job.
So I completely get it from an international student's perspective. Like you only have that 60 days window. Uh, to be honest, once I got to know that we are going to be furloughed. I mean, furloughed is equivalent to of getting laid off because
Right.
you're not going to be validated with the current work visa. So we have to suddenly start looking for a job. So the one key thing I did is I just reached out to my existing contacts in the company that I worked for and just ask them for recommendations with their colleagues because they kind of empathize with you when you lose a job or when you're looking for a different job. They do give recommendations with another company, and they might have a close friend working there who is really interested in hearing what you got to offer. So that is the only way I approached the companies since then. So if I had to look out, just keep looking out. Don't lose hope. It's gonna be tough, but keep looking out and do your best what you can. But focus on the direction of getting referrals from within the company or the company that you worked for. That
Yeah,
would
and I guess it's a,
that would help expedite.
yeah, it also shows the importance of building relationships, right? If you are building, like wherever you are, no matter what job you have, it is important to build relationships with the people you work with, maybe a level above in different teams, so
Yeah.
that if you need help, whether it be just information or a referral, then you can actually you feel comfortable enough to ask for it.
Obviously. And you can also, use LinkedIn to see in your current industry if you have any, common connections from your current company to the company where you're applying for a role. That would make it easier as well. So, but the easiest part is ask your current employees or your past employees to give you a recommendation in a company they know where a job exists.
Yeah, and I would also suggest like leaning on the MEM network, right? I mean,
Yep.
you have an MEM network, there is an MEMPC LinkedIn group. I can share information about that to our attendees. if you join, then that is one other way of asking for at least information or informational interviews to then get
Yes.
started
Yeah,
in some way.
totally.
Perfect. Well, I think those are more or less all the questions I have. If you have any more questions for Vignesh, please feel free to reach out to him on LinkedIn. As he said, he's open to connecting with you and answering them the best he can. Um, Thank you so much for Vignesh for your time. I absolutely enjoyed this conversation. I learned something new, even though we did have a conversation before that. So this was great. I appreciate your time, and um, I wish you the very best for your future. I hope your stay at NREL stays as fascinating as it is now. And if you do decide to do your own startup, wish you the very best as well.
Thanks, Ritu. Thanks for being professional and conducting this fireside chat. It's really helpful to uh, connect with the current students and prospective students, and also feels good to help them out in any ways that I could, because I've been in their shoes when I was looking for a job, or when I was looking to apply for the MEM course. So I'm happy to
Yeah.
be
And
of.
I love showcasing your career path because each career path is unique, and the more you hear about it, the more options you realize you have versus getting, boxed into choosing a career path or a certain situation. So thank you for sharing your experiences so openly, so honestly, as well as how it was with for you at Northwestern MEM and everything you learned. My cat is trying to ask more questions. I'm gonna say goodbye at this time, Vignesh. Thank you again. Have a great weekend, and hopefully we'll be in touch and we'll have another conversation soon.
All right, guys. Bye, everyone. Have
Take
a good day.
care. Thank you so much for joining us for this fireside chat. I appreciate you joining us. Please keep an eye out. I'll post the recording in the next week or so, and then join us. I look forward to seeing you at our next conversation. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.